This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com in review. What I'm looking at today is the second season of Netflix's The Order. And this is an interesting show because it's taught me a few things. The first being that werewolves are stupid. Now keep in mind something. I'm a huge fan of them. From movies like The Howling to An American Werewolf in London. I think The Howling is a much better movie. In any case, I've always liked werewolves as well as what they embody. The savage, the visceral nature of man. They're probably my favorite creature. And as I said, The Order has shown me that they're pretty dumb. If only because in the last season, the werewolves were robbed of their memories. This was done by this powder that the witches and warlocks possess, and they would just blow it in the face of the werewolves. The problem is that this happens a lot. The second season, I'm going to say it happens at least 4 or 5 times to each of the werewolves. There are 4, I believe. Yes, there are 4 of them. It happens so much, and it's so irritating. The first time I get it, and I also understand that the purpose of this powder is to erase their memories. So it makes sense that they don't remember it happening. But at the same time, this powder is really confusing in the sense that the point of it is to not only erase memories, but to allow the possessor of it to imprint memories upon you. Okay, now the thing is, other people exist in this world, not only the werewolves and the warlocks and witches. So the idea that you can claim a person as some other person, and per this series, no one around them seems to notice this at all. It's really odd, and it's kind of dumb, to be totally honest. Though I mentioned earlier my love for werewolves, you can tell that the effect is probably very expensive. It's all CGI. And they don't last on screen very long. They'll run somewhere. You'll see them for, if you see a werewolf in this series for longer than 2 or 3 minutes at any given time, I'd be shocked. It literally lasts seconds. At least most of second season it does. And I assume that's because it's a relatively expensive effect and they can only afford to use it for so long, which is a bit of a pity. Take that away, it becomes very much a comedy/drama with supernatural overtones, which that even is not a bad thing. The Order is pretty ambitious, though it doesn't always live up to it. If you've been keeping up with the series, you probably are aware that it revolves around 2 magical orders. The Order of the Blue Rose and the Knights of St. Christopher, I believe. And the Knights of St. Christopher are werewolves, while the Order of Blue Rose are magic practitioners. And so you have the dynamic of magicians. Well, magicians is kind of not what they are, more like witches and warlocks against werewolves, which is awesome on the face of it. In reality, it's decent. It's not bad by any stretch. Though, having seen the second season, what I thought was most interesting was that this series struck me as very Buffy-esque, as in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and though there are differences, this series has more in way of cursing. They curse a lot. More gore than I can recall Buffy having had, which makes sense because it's on Netflix, which is a pay network as opposed to a regular television network. And there's lots of sexual innuendo, though it's still very Buffy-esque. In fact, if you were to look at it as a spectrum, The Order falls between Buffy the Vampire Slayer and sci-fi's The Magicians. The Magicians, if you've seen it, and it's a pretty decent show, by the way. It's more adult. It handles the same material minus the werewolves, as far as I'm aware, but it tends to be more adult-orientated, and for me that's a bit problematic because when shows aren't allowed to do certain things, you understand why that's the case. With The Order, as I mentioned earlier, it's gory, they curse a lot, and there's lots of sexual innuendo. But it's not an overtly sexual show. And that's where, for me, the problem lies. I don't normally want this in television shows, but I honestly think this show needs more sex. Be it hetero, be it homo, it doesn't matter. It just needs more sex, more eroticism, because at this point, it's kind of falling between those two shows I mentioned. And it's not a great place to be, really, because Buffy, I think, was pretty good, helped define this genre. The Magicians is also pretty good, though not nearly as influential. With The Order, it's very much playing in Buffy territory. It's very witty, it's actually a lot of fun, it's very well acted, and it's pretty good to look at. And if I recall, with the second season consisting of 10 episodes, they went through at least 2 big bads. It seems a bit rushed. I don't know why that is, because the end of the second season sets up a third season, though we won't know for perhaps a few months if Netflix is going to continue with this series. They don't tend to have series that last beyond 3 seasons. There are some that have lasted 4, actually, but that's relatively rare. 3 seems the magic number with Netflix, and I get the feeling that this series is winding down. On the whole, The Order is pretty good. It's fun, it's well written, the cast is enthusiastic and attractive, and though, as I said, I wish it were more sexually risque because it occupies another space. And being that this show will likely not last beyond a 3rd season, I don't think it's ever really going to get there. This is Brian from ScreenFiles.com in review. Have you seen The Order? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down below and consider a like or a follow. Peace.